is a college admissions and internships information session for all these aspiring high school students that are going to be moving on to college later this year or next year or the years ahead. This information session is for people 10 and up, so people of all ages can come and learn from our mentor today on what it takes to get into college and what internships and extracurriculars you might need to help your college admissions. Okay, so everyone, these are the house rules. So for today's information session, please keep your microphone and video off for the entire session. And so for the Q&A section at the end, which is about 30 minutes, depending on how many questions we get, please type your questions in the chat and we will pick around 8 to 9 questions that fit the presentation the most. And we'll ask our mentor to respond and to give us her opinion on your questions. Does everyone agree with that? Okay, so let's look at the overall organization first. What is DYC, or Design Your Careers? DYC is a 501c3 nonprofit dedicated to helping underprivileged children all throughout the United States and the world. DYC allows for children to learn and pursue career paths in whatever field they choose through the use of workshops that teach specific information and also allows students to gain volunteer hours. This information session is being led by DYC itself, as we are allowing for all these people today in this call to learn more and to gain more knowledge to help themselves. Who am I? My name is Amogh Donthi, and I am the student moderator for this information session, all about college admissions and college internships. I am part of the DYC organization, and I teach workshops of my own to help enrich the minds of students on a variety of subjects. If you want more information, ask me after the class for more information on my workshops. So if you want to join DYC, if you are one who is keen to be a student leader or possess leadership skills, come and take the plunge right away. Join the DYC team as student leader by becoming a member. Students can sign up to lead in various ways based on their interests, availability, and skills. Apply for memberships and mention any skill in any form that can be shared online or offline in your local community or school. The DYC team will guide you with the tools and the structure. This is an easy way to also earn volunteer hours, and qualified candidates have the chance to earn special recognition. You might also qualify for PVSA awards if the effort fulfills PVSA qualification requirements. We ensure that the activities at DYC will get you leadership recognition. You can also lead the fundraiser events or run DYC as a club in your local chapter. After the session today, if you're considering joining DYC, please email me or at my email, amogh.dyc@gmail.com, and I will get you started on the initiation process. This in itself is one of the major extracurriculars you can use yourself for getting into college and for better recognition in college admissions. And so this organization and this information session is being led by DYC itself. So if you want to join or want to learn more information, contact me after the class or after the information session, and I will help you get started and help you learn more. Now to pass it on to today's mentor.
Hi, everyone. So this slide just has a little bit information about who I am. So I'm going to be a rising senior at the University of Southern California. And as it says on the slide, I have the USC Trustee Scholarship, which is a full tuition merit scholarship. And on top of that, in high school, I earned the National Merit Scholarship. And because of my Trustee Scholarship recognition at USC, I've had the opportunity to sit on several USC scholarship admissions committees and be in charge of deciding which individuals in coming years get scholarships at USC. Additionally, on top of that, in high school, I was a 4-year state and nationally ranked speech and debate competitor. And in college, I have done a variety of internships, including Zenfolio after my freshman year, Synchrony Financial after my sophomore year, and currently I'm working at PayPal. So today's agenda will cover a couple different topics. The first topic is the importance of extracurriculars and volunteering in high school. Second is tips on writing a good college essay. Third is making a good resume, which you can use in both high school and college. And lastly is internships in high school and college. And then we'll give you guys a little bit of an opportunity to ask some questions. So first, let's talk about the importance of extracurriculars and volunteering in high school. So from what I've learned from my opportunities that I've done in high school, as well as being in college and being able to see different people's applications and see which types of individuals are able to get into these very premier and top league universities, I've seen that extracurriculars play a very big role in your ability to get into college and also can really help pad your resume and your skill sets. One thing is volunteering for nonprofits like DYC, as Amogh mentioned previously. That's a really great opportunity. For me, I was the founder of a branch of a nonprofit during my high school career. And so that helped me significantly, the same way that volunteering like at an organization like DYC would. Additionally, you can play on high school sports or league sports teams. And then there are also academic interests such as speech and debate, DECA, HOSA, or even band. So some of these extracurriculars are offered by your school, which is great, which means that you can engage in them really easily. And oftentimes this means that they can also incorporate them within your high school curriculum. However, one of the things that you need to keep in mind for extracurriculars is that what college applications look for when looking at what extracurriculars you did is looking at your story. So every college application process wants to make sure that individuals are passionate about something. And so whether this be just an art class or it be sports or speech and debate, it doesn't matter what it is, as long as you're able to show that you're passionate about it and you're able to show a full story about how you as a person was able to grow within that passion. So let's say you started this your freshman year of high school, you should be able to show in your extracurriculars that you were able to dedicate a lot of time to this extracurricular and even grow in it in some leadership positions. Because this shows that you're not only passionate about it, that you care about it, and that you're willing to invest the time into it that individuals in college would like to see in the future. So for example, I was very into speech and debate in high school, and I spent a lot of time on that extracurricular. And eventually I was able to work my way up, going to different competitions and get leadership positions. So in college, a lot of the college application process asked me about my leadership positions because they want to see that you have the ability to be a leader in college. And from showcasing that you have that ability in high school, it gives them a better idea of what you'll be like at their school. You can go to the next slide. So this segues perfectly into some tips on writing a good college essay. So as many of you guys probably know, college essays are becoming increasingly more difficult to stand out in because a lot of people tend to have the same types of experiences. If you live in the Bay Area, a lot of individuals tend to do the same activities, whether that be speech and debate, DECA, HOSA, sports, like I mentioned before. So the way to write a good college essay is definitely to find something that you're passionate about and really speak to why that matters to you. For me, it depends. You have to be pretty creative about it. You can't just write, I'm passionate about this for XYZ reasons, because everyone can write that. So you need to find a way to make it creative so that it stands out from other individuals, but also showcases a lot of the things that you've done. If you look at the Common App application or the UC application, there aren't many spaces to actually put your extracurricular activities or volunteering activities. There might be 5 to 10, whereas in high school, you've probably done a lot more than just 5 different activities. So in order to make sure that individuals in the applications that are reading your applications really know what all that you've been doing, they want to see that you're expanding upon this within your essays. So this means you're writing about an experience that was really important to you when you were on your DECA team or your HOSA team, writing about a challenge that you faced while being in speech and debate, or writing about a way that you've changed or become a leader through the activities that you're doing. So for example, if you're volunteering for something like DYC, you can talk about how you started at your freshman year, you were able to work your way up, and through hard work, determination, and a lot of time put into it, you were able to rise to a leadership position and make positive impacts on other people. So those are important things to mention in your college essay. And again, the important thing to note is that your college essay should be a concrete story of what and who you are. Because if you're able to tie everything that you've done together into something that's concise, around 700 words for the common application, it shows that you're able to be really passionate about a specific thing and you're able to talk about it. For example, one of the things that I talked about significantly in my essays was how I was really passionate about corporate gender equality, and I was part of a club in high school that was BYs, or Women in Science, Engineering, and Business. And so even though I had maybe one line to write about that in my college application, in the actual extracurricular part, I was able to talk about it significantly in my essay. And actually, when I went to my scholarship interview at USC, they ended up asking me about what's something that I was passionate about and asked me to talk about it. And if it was truly something that I was not passionate about, they would be able to tell that it was just something that I was doing for my college application, or something that I was just doing to put on my resume. They want to see that you're an honest person who's really passionate about something and is able to carry that passion on towards in their college and actually make a significant change at the university. So some essays that I have seen in the past, there have been many things. Like I mentioned before, people talk about their leadership experiences. Some people do talk about very personal things, but I know that some things, from talking to even my friends who have been recently applying to college, a lot of them feel like I can't write a good enough essay because, for example, a really significant event has happened to my friend and they have something to write about, or something really major life event happened to someone else and I don't have a life event like that to write about. But a lot of the times these college essays and the people reading the college essays don't care about really traumatic life events that happened to you or something really significant that changed you. If it is something that changed, feel free to write about that because that's something that shaped your life. But if it isn't, or if you don't have something like that, you shouldn't feel that your experiences are any less than someone that did have something like that, because there's definitely an experience in your life that shaped you. You just have to find what that experience is and be able to tie it in to the activities that you're doing and the passion that you're able to show for different things. So this also ties into making a good resume. So for high school, you don't really need a resume because you don't use it very much. And to be honest, there's not much that you can really put on it. But when you are going into your senior year, a lot of the times when you do interviews for colleges or things like that, they will ask you for a resume or just a list of your activities of things that you've done. So the best way to do this, I definitely had a little bit difficulty doing this in high school. And I just thought, yeah, I can just make like a Google Doc and add whatever I did on bullet points. And to be honest, it looked really ugly and wasn't professional at all. So one good way to do this is actually to go onto university websites and try to find a template of a good university resume that you can use. By doing this, you'll be able to add in your work experience if you have any, but it's okay if you don't have any work experience, as a lot of individuals in high school don't have any work experience. You can add internship experience, volunteering, extracurriculars, any awards that you've won, languages that you speak, all of those different things can be added into your resume. But some good tips on how to write a resume is, one thing is you have to use a lot of action verbs. So it's much easier for someone to overlook something where you said, I did presentations like this, or I facilitated many different workshops, versus you're saying, I was in charge of 30 people making an impact on 2,000 people. So when you're doing action verbs and quantifying the amount of things that you actually put, it makes it seem much more important and also is much easier to stand out to individuals. So even when they're skimming your resume, as many of you guys know, people who are looking at the college applications barely spend less than a minute on it, or maybe a couple minutes at max. So they don't have time to really pour through your application or your resume. They really just skim it. So by adding these action verbs and by adding quantifiable numbers, you're able to really show that you made a change and an impactful change. And then it really interests them to look further into you, because something that's very passive, they're very quick to skim over it and forget about it, versus something where you show that you had leadership and initiative and took charge. They're more likely to stop, look at it, and it leaves a lasting impression on you, which is essentially what you want when you're writing a good college application or a good resume, because when they're looking at thousands of different applications, you want to make a mark on the person reading it. So about internships in high school and college. So one of the major things about internships in high school is that it's honestly very difficult to find. Many different companies don't really want to take high school interns because for them, it's very difficult for them to spend a summer or a whole year training an intern with the intern only being left to go to college or not return to the company. So because of that, there are a lot of different programs that are meant for students. For example, there's Cosmos, which is at UC Davis, which is meant to be more of a science or STEM-based program. These are very competitive programs that you can apply for, which allow you to get the experience similar to an internship, but more as a study type program that you can do over the summer. So because this is also a very selective program, it shows universities that even though you might not have work experience or internship experience, you do have the experience of being selected for a selective program like this. There are also some others for different types of majors. It doesn't just have to be for STEM. For example, for me, in my high school, I went to the Savannah College of Art and Design for one summer, and I studied business as well as an electronic design and visualization class there. So these are some types of really selective programs that you can look into for the summer after your junior year or the summer after your sophomore year, after you have a little bit more experience and be able to do that. Another thing that you can do that's maybe not necessarily internships in high school is that you can shadow individuals. So this really makes use of networking skills. So looking at people of like your friends of your parents, your friends of your teachers, professors that you might know, things like that. You can reach out to them and ask to shadow them. If they're a doctor, you can ask to shadow them there. If they're work in tech, you can ask to go to their office and shadow what they do there. So these are different things that you can add on your resume that even if you're not able to get an internship, it still shows that you took initiative to do all of these things. Additionally, one way that I got an internship in high school was honestly just a cold email. I knew that a lot of companies didn't want to take a high school student and that it would be very difficult for me to go on someplace like LinkedIn or Indeed and try to submit my resumes because my resume would be compared to individuals in college or individuals who'd already graduated college. And to be honest, my resume would be not even in comparison to those people. So what I did is I looked up startups near me and I just went to a website like Startup Hire. I found different startups that interested me and I found their contact information. And I just cold emailed them, telling them that I was a high school student, this is what I'm interested in, here are some of my background experiences, and I'd be willing to work for you entirely for free. I just want to learn more about what you're doing. I want to help you out. And if you have time, would you be willing to meet with me? And would you be willing to give me a chance for an internship? I emailed so many of them and honestly only one of them responded. But that one that responded, I was able to go in for an interview and I ended up getting an internship there. So it really depends on the initiative that you take, and getting an internship in high school will look really good to colleges because they also know how difficult it is in order to get these positions. And so getting something like this shows that you've taken the initiative early on and will show that you'll continue to take a good amount of initiative in college as well. And additionally, doing these types of things, as mentioned in this slide, allows you to form connections with industry professionals. So for example, if you're in STEM, I had a roommate in college who was able to work at a lab in her high school, and she continued through that lab in college, which allowed her to get on multiple different publications, which looks really good for graduate school and looks really good when you're trying to get a job, that you're able to stick through one thing for multiple different years. So if you're able to get an internship early on, you can build those connections with the industry professionals there. And even if they aren't able to offer you a job there, they can connect you with the individuals that'll let you get jobs in the future. Because it's very difficult to be a freshman in college and try to get a job at somewhere like PayPal or Apple or Google. But if you have those industry connections, it gets significantly easier. So in college, this changes a little bit when you're trying to get an internship. After your freshman year, it's very similar to high school. It's difficult to get an internship because most of the time it's unpaid, and they would much rather take someone who's a sophomore or a junior just because they have more work experience potentially, or just more experience in general. So the best way to get one is through industry connections. So reaching out to friends of family, reaching out to professors, reaching out to anyone that you know that's in the field that you'd like to go into, and try to see if they have any opportunities there. If not, what you can do is a lot of individuals after their freshman year of college do research opportunities. So again, on campus, a lot of different professors do a lot of research in the fields that they teach. And so if you're interested in those fields, doing research is a really good way to get some work experience during the summer that's not necessarily corporate internship experience. And so research is a good opportunity for that. And after your sophomore year, it is still difficult, but it gets significantly easier, especially if you have internship experience on your resume after your freshman year, because it shows you have that work experience that'll allow them to trust you to take the job as a sophomore when they could have easily given that job to a junior or a senior. So then you can start applying to these programs set at bigger companies. If you're in tech, specifically computer science, it's usually easier to get a job at Google or Apple or Amazon, because for the most part, it just requires you to take the coding exams and be able to clear those. So if you're really talented at being able to do that and you have good work experience in the past, there's nothing stopping you from getting the positions that juniors and seniors would have, as long as you have the same prerequisites and the same coding ability as them. But if you're looking at something more at STEM or other parts of STEM, or business, it's a little bit more difficult because there's no just exam that you can clear in order to get the internship. You have to still know some industry connections, or you have to be able to network with other individuals, either through your college organizations or through on-campus recruiting. And then when you come to your junior year, as long as you have internship experience after your freshman year and your sophomore year, it's typically a lot easier to get an internship in your junior year. Because a lot of the time, companies will be training individuals their junior year so that in hopes they will convert to a full-time offer after their senior year. This might be a little bit different now because of the COVID-19, because a lot of companies are definitely dealing with layoffs and having a little bit more hiring restrictions. So it's something that you might have to consider, that it might be difficult in order to get a full-time conversion after your junior year, but it is still something to consider, trying to get a really good company or somewhere you really want to work at after your junior year, because there is the possibility that you'll get hired back after your senior year. So it really lightens the load for you your senior year, trying to recruit as well as dealing with lots of other things such as your schoolwork and everything else. And so, so that's a little bit on how to get internships in high school as well as in college. So now we can answer questions. We have about 30 minutes, so we'll be able to answer a couple questions.
Okay, so everyone can type their questions in the chat if they want to ask a question. Since we have more time than we expected, we'll be able to answer like a lot of questions. So if you still have questions, type them in the chat, and then our mentor will answer them. Okay, so I'm not seeing that many questions in the chat. So does no one have any questions, or does everyone understand what is being said in the information session today?
Yeah, if there's something I didn't talk about that you'd like me to talk about high school or college, I can also just stress on that. It doesn't have to be a specific question related to what I talked about. It could be about anything. You can also feel free to unmute yourself and just ask the question if you don't want to type it in the chat.
Okay, so I think I got one question through email. Someone emailed it to me. It's talking about AP courses and its pathways and how those work. Do you have any insight on taking AP courses in high school and how those work?
Yeah, sure. So it really depends on what colleges you're looking at. I would suggest that if you want to look at the colleges ahead of time and see what type of AP classes they accept. So technically for me, I took a lot of AP classes in high school. I think I took around 11 or 12, and I ended up taking, I believe, 9 AP tests. But when I actually looked at the colleges and looked at which ones accepted credits, a lot of the UC universities didn't accept many AP credits at all. Versus at USC, I was able to clear 32 units just through my APs. So just because of the AP credits that I took in from my high school, I would have been able to graduate 1 year early if I wanted to. So it's really important to look at which universities you're looking at and kind of plan your APs around that. That being said, it is also important to look at which type of APs are important for you. For example, if you're trying to go into computer science, taking AP Bio probably isn't very helpful because a lot of the times they want to see that you're taking something that's relevant to your field. If you're going to become pre-med or pre-health, definitely taking AP Bio, AP Chem are super important. But if you're going to be in CompSci, taking AP Chem and AP Physics are more important, AP Physics specifically. Additionally, if you're trying to, also obviously for CompSci, like AP Computer Science and all of those, you can also look at colleges to see which ones double. For example, if you're taking a very stacked course load your junior year and you are worried about taking 6 different APs, and you had already taken AP World History or AP Euro in your sophomore year, you don't necessarily have to take AP US History your junior year, as long as you've already gotten a good score on the AP test. Because a lot of the time, a lot of these will double count. It's the same for AP Language and AP Literature. As long as you get a decent score on 3 or above, or usually 4 and above on one of these tests, you may not have to take the other one if you feel like it might be too difficult for you. So that was one thing that I noticed because I had taken a lot of these duplicates, and when I went to turn them in for credit, they told me that only one of them had counted. So it was kind of unfortunate that I ended up taking a lot more of these classes than I actually needed to because they didn't necessarily count. But the important thing to also note is that AP classes look good on your resume. So just because it doesn't necessarily count for something doesn't mean you shouldn't take it, because it also shows that you are able to keep up with academic rigor and that you're able to keep up with the academic rigor of college, because it's definitely very different than high school. So by taking a lot of these AP classes, it shows, and getting good grades in them, it shows that you're able to do well in college classes. But I often get the question also, is it better to get an A in a non-AP class or a B in an AP class? And to that, I would definitely say it's better to get the A in the non-AP class, because it shows that you're able to manage your time better and that you're able to plan ahead. Because let's say you got all A's with a couple APs and a couple non-APs versus all B's with all AP classes. Your GPA might be the same because of the weighted system of the AP classes, but it just doesn't look as good on your transcript because there's a lot more B's than a lot of A's. So I would suggest really look at what your skill sets are, look at what's needed for the major that you're interested in, and then decide based on that what decisions you want to make. I see that there are some more questions in the chat. The first question was, can you talk more about coding exams? Unfortunately, I'm not a computer science major, so I don't have like really in-depth knowledge about it. Just from talking to friends who are computer science majors, a lot of these internships have several rounds of coding exams, and they're typically timed. And sometimes it even uses things like lockdown browsers and things like that to make sure that you're not cheating or that someone else isn't taking the exam for you. So just, obviously, I don't know about like which languages they test and things like that, but you can look at the companies that you're interested in and look at their intern hiring processes, and they'll give you some more information about the coding exams. The second question from Ria is, what extracurricular activities are there that I can start now as a junior? If I do, will they still be considered in my college apps? So extracurricular activities, you can start at any time. I would suggest maybe not starting them senior year, because that's when you write your college applications. And so it doesn't look as fleshed out or look like you've really invested a lot of time into it. But as a junior, there's definitely some that you can start. For example, if you were to start DECA or HOSA, those are not things that take very long periods of time in order to do. For example, DECA is just a competition. So if you're able to do well in that, you can go to nationals after just 1 year of doing DECA. And those will still definitely be counted in your college apps. You can also volunteer for organizations. For example, DYC, if you're able to put in a lot of hours, and let's say you get 200 hours of volunteering just in your junior year, that looks extremely good. And it looks much better than someone who's been doing this volunteering for 4 years and has only accumulated 50 hours. So it really just shows that you can start anything at any time. It's more about the passion and initiative that you put into it. Yeah, another thing that you can do if you're pre-health is American Red Cross. If you are, and extracurricular activities don't necessarily just have to be like things that are at your school. You can also do things that are, like I mentioned, internships or shadowing. Those are all things that can still count and don't necessarily have to be considered as generic extracurricular activities. Another thing that a lot of my pre-health friends did in high school was they were able to volunteer at hospitals. And that is definitely something you can do as a junior if you're interested in pre-health, because a lot of the times you have to be at least 16 in order to volunteer there. And so anyway, most people who start those things are juniors. I would definitely check now because of coronavirus if that's even possible. But given that it would be possible, that would be a really great opportunity for you to do. The next question from Hema is, are there any scholarship opportunities for students? So this really depends on which universities you're looking at. There are some scholarships that are obviously open to everyone. For me, I received a couple scholarships. One was through the National Merit Scholarship, which is considered through your PSAT score, which you take in your junior year. So after you get a PSAT score that's within the cutoff rate for your state, you can then be sent to the next round, in which you have to write basically an essay on answering their questions. And then from there, you might be selected to be a National Merit Finalist. And so from the National Merit Finalist candidacy, you can then receive scholarships through that. For example, I get, I believe, $1,000 every year because of my National Merit distinction. Also, a lot of school districts will have scholarships for their students. Within my school district, I was able to apply for them my senior year and get scholarships through that. And if not, there are a lot of scholarship organizations online where you can just sign up and be able to apply for those. There are a lot for really different things, for underprivileged minorities, for people from specific backgrounds, for people looking for very specific things. You should honestly just look at them. There's some that don't even require essays. They're really easy to apply for. Yeah, there's even like books in your library available for them. As for college scholarships, there are some that are available through the university. The helpful way to do that is to look at the universities. A lot of the Ivy League schools, for example, do not offer merit scholarships and are mostly financial aid based. But for example, USC offers many different merit scholarships ranging from full tuition, half tuition, which you automatically get if you're a National Merit Finalist, as well as quarter tuition and beyond. So it really depends on the university that you're looking at. Anu asked, if I'm going to computer science, what are some strong extracurriculars? I would say for computer science, some really strong extracurriculars would be things like robotics. It would be things like if you did Math Olympiad, things that show that you have the ability to do things in STEM or in a math related field. Another thing that you can do is you can join a lot of like hackathons. I did one in high school. A lot of times, even your school district will sponsor them, or companies will sponsor them in the Bay Area. There are lots of them going on. I know that UC Berkeley, Ohlone, and a lot of community colleges even do hackathons. So if you're going to computer science, hackathons are definitely one of the best way to do it, because not only can you win prizes for it, you can also win distinctions that show that you did well at the hackathons, which you can put on your resume, put on your college applications, and you also have something tangible to show individuals from there. So if, for example, a college looks for a portfolio, you can submit the app that you made at the hackathon, or you can submit the program or the website, and it shows that you are actually capable of doing what you applied for, versus other individuals that would mostly learn on the spot, something like that. Kanishka asked, if I want to go into medicine, how do you think grades matter for it? Well, I mean, your grades matter regardless of what you want to go into. So typically the grades are used as a first checkpoint. So before even looking at what major you want to do, any of that, they look at your grades. They look at your standardized test scores. They look at all of these objective measures in which they can remove people from the pool, because they get thousands of applications every year. So it's really difficult for them to narrow down individuals just based on extracurriculars or on really subjective things like your essay. So the first thing they do is they look at what is your GPA? They look at your standardized test scores. They look at your AP test scores. And from there, as long as you meet the cutoff that they have, then they move on to what did you write about in your essay? What extracurriculars did you have? What type of initiatives did you take? Did you do anything like that? So from going on to there, you're able to decide on what you want to do further. So grades are really that first stepping stone on how to get further on in the application process. But that being said, it's okay if you don't have a perfect A's. Most people don't end up having a perfect transcript all 4 years. It's really difficult. So one thing that they really look for is improvement. So let's say your freshman year, you got a couple B's, a bunch of A's, but your sophomore year, you got maybe 1 B, all A's. And then from there, you got all A's. So even though you didn't have a perfect transcript, it shows that you were able to improve. And it shows that you have the capability to get good grades. So because of that, they hold that equally in weightage to individuals who individuals who have all A's. And in fact, I've heard from a lot of college admissions counselors and from sitting on these scholarship admissions boards that they actually prefer students who have this improvement rather than individuals who just get A's across the board. Because when you get A's across the board, it could mean that, sure, you're an exceptional student, you know everything, but it could also mean that you just know how to game the system, that you know how to do work in high school. But just because you got A's in high school doesn't mean you'll get A's in college. So they're worried that these individuals who always get A's, if they go to college, what happens if they get a B? Will they just immediately start going downhill from there? Versus if you show that you have the capability to improve, it looks good and they know that you have that ability to pick yourself up and continue going. Ria asked, I've taken 3 years of Spanish. Should I take AP Spanish next year or a different AP if I can only take one or the other? So this really depends on what your other AP is, and also it depends what major you're going into. So for example, because I'm a business major at USC, I'm not required to take a foreign language requirement, versus my friends who are pre-health or in the College of Letters and Sciences, they are required to take a foreign language requirement. So if they had taken that AP in high school and were able to test out of the level in college, they necessarily didn't have to take 2 or 3 years in college. They might have just had to take 1 year. But for me, taking an AP Spanish in high school would have been completely useless because it's just making my life a little bit harder in high school when I really didn't need it in college at all. And I could have taken something that was a little bit more helpful for me, or I could have taken a subject that I really enjoyed and I wanted to take and something that would help me in the future. So I actually had the same dilemma when I was in high school, whether I should take AP Spanish or take something else. So I actually decided not to take AP Spanish because it wasn't required for me in college. And instead I took regular psychology. So even though I wasn't taking an AP class to replace it, I took it because it was something that I really enjoyed and something that was kind of related to my major, because business and psychology kind of go hand in hand. And I was even able to talk about my psychology class in my college essays and how much I enjoyed it, and learning about consumer behavior and consumer psychology was something I wanted to do more. So if there's something that you feel fits your passions better, I would take that rather than taking just AP Spanish for the sake of taking AP. Shreya asked, what is a good amount of extracurriculars to have? Honestly, this is a question that really depends on the person. So I would say that it's fine to just have 1 or 2 extracurriculars, as long as you show that it's something that you've stuck with for a long time and something that you're really passionate about. For me, I did a lot of volunteering. I mentioned previously I was on the board of a foundation, and I mostly just did speech and debate. But with speech and debate, I was able to go really far in it. I was able to show that I had leadership experience. I was able to show that I could dedicate my time to it and really excel in it. And even with the clubs that I was doing, I was only in like 1 or 2 clubs at school. But even with those clubs, I was able to show that I made a measurable impact. I wasn't just saying that I attended every single one of the meetings and then that's all I did. Because it looks better to have 3 extracurriculars where you invest all your time into it and really show an impact that you're making, than to have 50 extracurriculars where you really didn't do much in every single one. It's kind of like that old saying, like a jack of all trades and master of none. It's better to be a master of 1 extracurricular than to do everything and not be good at anything. And so Ria asked again, I haven't decided if I want to go into CompSci or medical. How do I know what classes I should take? So this is definitely something that a lot of people struggle with. I know that I didn't even know what I wanted to do in high school until almost like my junior or senior year when I was deciding for college. And so it was kind of hard for me to plan my subjects. The one thing is for the medical field is that there are a lot of requirements that you have to look into. So in order to be a competitive applicant for a pre-health major, you have to be able to take AP Bio, AP Chem. You have to show that you have those abilities, whether you're taking them concurrently at a community college or you're taking them over the summer at a university. You have to be able to show that you have the abilities to do these science classes that are more rigorous than the normal regular science classes at your high school, because the science classes at universities are really difficult. So that's the one thing I would note about the medical field specifically, is that if you're considering it, you should look into potentially taking AP Sciences and potentially also the science subject tests, because those do look good on applications for pre-health students. For CompSci, on the other hand, I feel like it's definitely good to take AP Physics as well as a upper division math like AP Calculus or AP Statistics. But at the same time, it is something that doesn't necessarily have a lot of prerequisites like pre-health does. So it is something where you can definitely do a little bit more leeway and look at more of things that you want to do and be able to craft that towards your application about CompSci, versus in the medical field, you really had to have that background, or as like, I took all these classes, I took all these subject tests that relate to medicine. I volunteered at this hospital, I shadowed a doctor, I worked at a lab. All of that stuff shows that you're really invested in becoming pre-health and that you will be a successful pre-health student in college. So that is definitely something to consider. I agree, it's very difficult. I had the same problem in high school. So I would definitely spend a little bit of time to think about what you want to do and decide based on what's best for you and take that best decision. The last question we have is for computer science major, what would AP Stats look better than AP Environmental or AP Bio? Yes, definitely. I would say that it's still good to have 4 years of science. So for me, I knew I didn't want to do CompSci and I knew I did not want to do pre-health. So for me, I took the required classes of my high school, biology and chemistry, and then I took AP Biology, and then I took AP Environmental Science, because those were classes that I knew I could excel at, because I was good at biology, I was good at environmental science, but I knew that I wasn't great at chemistry, I wasn't great at physics. So I knew that I could get better grades at these sciences versus taking like something else. So that's why I did 4 years of science. But at the same time, I also did 4 years of math. So I took honors algebra 2, then I took pre-calculus, AP Calculus BC, and then AP Statistics. So to show that you're a competitive applicant, you need to be able to show that you can balance a lot of these things. So taking 4 years of math as well as 4 years of science. But that being said, if you're a computer science major and you absolutely cannot fit 4 years of science, I would definitely say that you should take AP Stats over the science, because it's more related to the degree. We have like 10 more minutes, so if anyone does have any more questions, we can answer them. I got one over text. It said, do school districts have scholarship opportunities for lower income students? And yes, they definitely do. One big way that lower income students can get opportunities for any type of aid would be to fill out the FAFSA. You should fill out the FAFSA early on, and you should look at what type of financial aid that the colleges that you're looking at offer. Because if you are low income, it's a really great way to get financial aid that doesn't require you to be in the same running pool as individuals who may have had more opportunities than you had just because you were lower income. So another way you can do it is a lot of these scholarships are required for, or they're designated for individuals who are lower income. So just look for those. I believe there is a lot of different scholarship websites online that you can look at, and you can even look up scholarships for low-income students, and there's tons of them. The best one that I've heard of is QuestBridge. That's QWEST Bridge, BRIDGE. So QuestBridge is a really great opportunity for lower income students that you apply through Questbridge, and then it matches you to a university, and you get a full ride scholarship through Questbridge. So because I live in Union City, at my high school, there were individuals who were lower income who got the opportunity to go to really great schools like University of Chicago, USC, and other universities that they may not have been able to afford or may not have been able to get merit scholarship aid from through Questbridge. So if you are lower income and you would qualify for this, I would definitely say look at that, because as long as you have the statistics for it and the extracurriculars, it's a really great opportunity to bring some of those schools that might not have been in the running for you back into the picture. Shreya asked, are there any good internships for CS to do in your senior year? So after the summer, after your senior year, I would honestly say you should just have fun. You've already done a lot of work over your past 4 years in high school. And to be honest, they won't really look at that summer anyway. So I would say have fun there. But during your actual senior year, you can do a lot of internships. I would say, again, look at these startups and just see if they need any help. Because if you're good at coding, it's not something that they have to teach you. You can just go in and help them with what they're already doing. So I would say reach out to these startups and see if they have any opportunities for you as a senior in high school. And a lot of the times, if they are a small startup that has only a handful of people, they'll really welcome the help that you have. And then last question, Bria says, I'm taking a lot of science classes. So if I decide to go into the CompSci field, how will these classes look on my college apps? They can look fine. It still shows that you're able to handle the academic rigor of the classes. It's just that they prefer that you take classes kind of related to the major that you're taking, because it kind of puts you a leg up when you're taking the classes in college. For example, if I took AP Bio, AP Chem, all of these science-related classes, and then in college for CompSci, I'm not going to be required to take bio or chem. I'd be required to take physics and more math-related subjects. And so I would have a more difficult time in college because I hadn't had that rigorous experience in high school doing it. So even though it still looks good to take the AP classes, it's better to show that you already have that prior experience in similar course load that you would take in college, just because it shows that you're ready for college. Okay, I think
so
a closing statement, so I'll pass it back to him.
Yeah, we have some closing statements. So can we get some testimonials on like how you enjoyed this information session? Maybe you can have like people turn on their cameras and give like a short, like 2 to 3 sentence testimonial, just saying what they learned and if they thought it was helpful. Maybe Kanishka and Anu, maybe you guys can turn on your cameras, or anyone, if anyone wants to give like a testimonial saying that they learned something, they learned which classes to manage, what APs to take, how this helped them. Anyone can like turn on their cameras and give a short like speech or a short paragraph on just what they learned. Okay, so we also have some other information. So we have a few partners with DYC who also have unpaid internships for high school students. And if you are interested, we can get in touch with you and you guys can come and join DYC, and we can help you establish links with further industry professionals and with these unpaid internships, which will help you look better for college and beyond, which will also help your college admissions and etc. Also, remember to pass on DYC to your friends, spread the word about DYC to every single other person you meet through person or through text or through email. Just spread the word so we can get more people to help these underprivileged children in underprivileged communities and to help more people form connections that will help them in their future life. Just like this one information session, we are currently constantly hosting sessions that help enrich the minds of people that join and also teach people to learn new subjects and new information that can help them later in life, like this mentors information session about college admissions and college internships. And it will motivate us to hear your feedback and to like learn more about what we need to work on and everything else. We also have a Facebook page that goes over what we learned and what information sessions we have to keep more people up to date on what we're doing as part of DYC. Also remember, DYC also acts as like a volunteer organization. And so if you come and join DYC, you can earn countless volunteer hours that, as Amogh said, look better on your college applications and also help make people look better in the eyes of these admission officers. If you want to join DYC or you want to get initiated, please contact me through my email at amogh.dyc@gmail.com, or you can check out the Facebook link, which is in the chat window today. As it says, facebook.com/designyourcareers. We have the recording of the video. We'll send it out after this information session has ended. So everyone check your emails for the recording of today's information session. And so that was basically it. When you're sending your emails or you're checking your emails, can you please send us like some testimonial on what you learned or what you thought was helpful from this class so we can use it to further benefit our information sessions when we do them next, so we can learn from our mistakes if we have any and make them better so more people get enriched, get informed, and allow for more people to learn. So basically that's it for today. Thank you all for attending, and I'll see you guys next time if you want to come back to our any other information sessions.
We really want to thank you, Amolya. It was very nice information. We really appreciate that.
Thank you.
If we need to contact, can we contact Amolya by email or anything?
Yeah, sure. I can put my email in the chat, or you can actually just send any questions that you have for me to amogh.dyc@gmail.com, and he can forward them on to me.
Yeah, I'll relay all the information, all the questions, and all the testimonials to her and to our organization to help further enrich the minds and help validate the process that we have today.
All right, thank you. Thank you, Amogh.
Yeah. So if anyone has any further questions, or if they want to ask something to Amogh or a mentor, you can ask it now because we're about to end our information session for today. And also to remind you again, please contact me at amogh.dyc@gmail.com to get more information about DYC, as it'll look better for your college internships and it'll look better for your college admissions. Plus, you can gain high school internships, as stated by Amogh, which look really good on college admissions and college resumes, which will help benefit you in your further life. So I think that's it for today's class or today's information session. You guys can leave if you want now, or you can stay to ask further questions.